Welcome!
I'm just trying to...
Yeah.
I'm almost at a loss for words. This is just really exciting for me to be here today, and I want to thank all of you for being here as well, so thank you. This is a real treat for me to finally come out on the road with the final book in the Inheritance Cycle. And I can't tell you how excited I am to know that you guys are going to get to or already are reading the last book in the series. As many of you know, I've been working on this series for a very long time. I started it all the way back in, how long am I talking now? 1998, which is probably before some of you were born. So it's been a long time, and a big chunk of my life, about 13 years, almost half my life. And again, now to have the series done, and to know you guys are going to be reading it is very, very exciting. So hope you enjoy it. Before I get to the signing and everything, there are a few things I wanted to do. First of all, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about where the series came from, very briefly. As you may know, I was homeschooled originally. And I graduated at 15, the result of not taking any summer breaks my entire life. Thank you, Mom. But when I graduated, I really didn't have a lot to do. I wasn't in school, I didn't have a job, and I was, well, to put it simply, I was bored. Really, really bored. In fact, I was so bored, I went out and dug a giant hole in my backyard. That was a good hole. I mean, it was 8 feet deep, it was circular, over 8 feet wide. And then I even took a giant old satellite dish, one of those big old ones, that was abandoned on our property, dragged it over to the hole, tipped it upside down, and made a roof for the hole. And then I took hay bales, piled them on the dish for insulation, and then stripped bark off dead trees and used it to make a roof on top of the hay bales. And you might ask yourself, well, how did you get into the hole with a satellite dish on top of it? Well, I dug a tunnel. And then I did an entryway for the tunnel. And then I started chopping down dead trees with a claw hammer, dragging them up to the hole, and planting them upright in the ground to make the framework for a Viking mead hall. In short, I was really bored. And that's when I finally decided to write Eragon. And my idea was to try to write the sort of story that I would enjoy reading myself, and to pay tribute to all the great fantasy books that I'd enjoyed, as a youngster. And that was the beginning of Eragon. And I just tried to have fun when I wrote the book. I put things in it like, for those of you who read this series, the character of Angela the herbalist, who I based on my sister Angela. Yes. Unfortunately, she has a good sense of humor about it, or I wouldn't be standing here right now. Other than that, I wrote the book, and then I gave it to my family, and they said, fortunately for me, they said, we like this, and we decided to go ahead and try to self-publish it. And along the way, I got helped by a lot of wonderful people, and in fact, there's a friend of our family who hopefully is here tonight or will be attending tonight, who actually helped to edit the self-published edition of Eragon. So it's really fun to be in this area again and to be able to see friends like that. And with all of that, we got Eragon self-published, took it on the road, and I ended up doing events all across the western half of the United States, most of those events in medieval costumes, which, as you can see, I'm not in anymore. It consisted of black knee-high lace-up leather boots, billowy black pantaloons, a big black pirate belt, and a billowy red swordsman shirt on top, with a beret to top it off. And in fact, the first time I did an event in a school, it was the very first event I ever did in a high school. And it was my first time in a high school. And I was the same age as the kids, and I walked in wearing that outfit. And somewhere from the back of the room, I heard this guy say, "Hello, Romeo!" I don't wear that anymore, as you can tell. And eventually, Random House picked up Eragon, and then I wrote Eldest, wrote Brissinger, and now finally an Inheritance. And again, along the way, there were some amazing experiences. I remember right before I went on book tour for The Eldest, I was actually supposed to be working, but I was playing video games instead. And I was playing this video game called Jedi Knight Academy 2, which was a good game. So I was dueling with people from all around the world, dueling with lightsabers. And someone logged into the game using the name Eragon.
I'm so sorry.
And I said to myself, oh, I have to fight this guy. So I, go up to him and challenge him to a duel. And the horrible thing is, he was better than me. And he beat me. And across the screen it said, "You have been killed by Eragon." Then with Brissinger, I was in Chicago, and I had this young woman come through the line, and she was holding on her arm, she was holding a sugar glider, which, for those of you guys who don't know, a sugar glider is sort of like a flying squirrel, but it has a pouch in the front, so it's a marsupial, and they're very, 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 very cute. So I looked at the sugar glider, and I said, "Oh, that's an interesting animal. Do you mind if I pet it?" And she said, "Oh, go ahead. That's fine. He doesn't bite." So I reach out and I start petting the sugar glider, and it looks at me, and it takes its hands, because they have hands like a raccoon. It takes its hands and it wraps its fingers around my finger. And then it looks at me, and ever so politely, it begins to gnaw on my finger. And I'm sitting there, and there's blood running down my hand, and I'm looking at the woman and saying, "Will you please stop your pet from trying to eat me?" But I'm kind of glad it happened, because ever since I get to say that I'm one of the few people in the world who has been gnawed on by a marsupial. So I figure that's got to be worth something. And then actually, with this last book, with Inheritance, I was in New York City for the last bit of editing, and during the last week of the last bit of work on this book and on the series as a whole, New York City got hit by both a hurricane and an earthquake. And my editor, she came to me and she said, "Christopher, I love you dearly, Christopher, but you really, really have to finish this series before any more natural disasters occur." So finish it I did, and here it is, and I'm very excited about it. And I'd love to take a few of your questions before going to sign. But before I do, I'd love to read you guys. I've wanted to do this ever since Eragon came out, and I haven't been able to do it until just past few days. I would like to read you guys very short, something from each of the 4 books. All right? You interested? Okay.